What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So today we have some unfortunate news. As former unified lightweight world champion Australian star boxer George Kambosos Jr., who is now 20 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 10 wins by way of knockout, 28 years of age, 5'9" with a 68-inch arm reach. He took on and lost his titles in a massive undisputed lightweight showdown to now newly crowned undisputed lightweight world champion superstar boxer Devin "The Dream" Haney, who is now 28 wins, no loss and no draw, 15 wins by way of knockout. He is 23 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. With that said, it was a shutout. Devin Haney, he won every single round in this fight, okay? Although the judges, they attempted to give it to George Kambosos Jr., they tried their best. They saw the fight 116-112, a close fight, right? That means they gave 4 rounds to George Kambosos Jr. How? Okay, he was outclassed every single round, every single second of the fight. He was outclassed, right? And so we knew that the fight was taking place in Australia, that it was going to be some home cooking in favor of George Kambosos Jr. But this was unacceptable, that they saw 4 rounds. You saw George Kambosos Jr. win 4 rounds in this fight? No, you didn't, okay? And so with that said, George Kambosos Jr. is now doing a bow face. Now, initially he said Devin Haney's a great fighter. He stated that, you know, the better man won, and he tipped his hat to Devin Haney, and it just motivated him to want to do an immediate rematch. This is what George Kambosos stated. Well, now George Kambosos Jr. is changing his tune, and now George Kambosos Jr. is saying that he won the fight, clearly, and that he outpunched and outboxed and outclassed Devin Haney. Now, we know George Kambosos Jr., he says a lot of things that's just not, you know, believable, not realistic. Like he stated, he lost, he missed weight on the scale at the weigh-in on purpose because he wanted to get in the head of Devin Haney, right? So George Kambosos says a lot of things that are just simply off the walls, okay? But now to say that you outclassed and outboxed and dominated Devin Haney in the fight, it's delusion and it's embarrassing. George Kambosos, he's already hurt his brand by some of the things he's said. He's already hurt his brand. Now, to say that you dominated this fight, you outboxed him, you landed more punches, you dominated the fight, it's embarrassing to say the least, right? Because his brand already took a major hit. Everybody who watched that fight and witnessed that fight saw that George Kambosos Jr. didn't even win a round, okay? The commentators, when the scorecards was read, they was like, I don't know what fight they was watching, but this was a shutout. Devin Haney pitched the shutout. Great boxing. And he did so with a simple vanilla game plan, using his jab. Point blank and period. He used the jab, right? And so the jab is the most important punch in the sport of boxing, right? And he used the jab, and he just simply outclassed George Kambosos. George Kambosos had no answer for the jab. He had no adjustments he made. Essentially, he looked similar to when he won the world title against former unified lightweight world champion superstar boxer Teofimo Lopez. When Teofimo Lopez had no game plan, had no plan B, made no adjustments. That's how George Kambosos Jr. looked. He looked like Teofimo Lopez was looking for one big punch, okay, was very flat-footed, was getting tagged with the jab and the overhand right, and made no adjustments. The difference is Devin Haney, like he said, I could have turned up on George Kambosos Jr. I could have did some more things, but I knew it was in his backyard and I didn't want to put myself out there to make a mistake. So what I was doing was working, and he had no answer for it. Why switch it, right? If it's not broke, then why change it, right? So with that said, he beat him with a vanilla style, and he stated, and you can see it was about the 8th round, 10th round, those 2 rounds, you can see Devin Haney, throwing combinations and throwing the right hand and clipping George Kambosos Jr., right? But like you said, he didn't want to get into a barn burner because he knew he was in George Kambosos Jr.'s backyard, and he didn't want to risk it. And the crowd was already oohing and ahhing for things George Kambosos Jr. didn't do. Imagine if he did land something, right? And the judges already saw 4 rounds. So like Devin Haney said, he played it cautious. He secured the victory, and he created history for himself and his legacy, right? The first, regardless of what ESPN wants to tell you, he's the first undisputed lightweight 4 major sanction belt lineal world champion in the history of the sport of boxing. Although ESPN tried to tell the world that we have 10 undisputed champions in the history of the sport of boxing, it's absolutely disgusting that they do these things. It truly is, right? That they try to create a narrative in the sport of boxing. A narrative is never created in no other sport but in boxing. Only in boxing, they'll attempt to create a narrative and rewrite history. Not in the NFL, not in the NBA, not in NHL hockey, not in NCAA football. Only in boxing do they try to rewrite history as if the fans don't know what they're watching and don't remember history. Because it's an emotionally driven sport. And so they try and tell the fans what they see and what they know and what they remember and what history was and wasn't. Okay? Only in the sport of boxing can you attempt to rewrite history in the manner that boxing does. So ESPN, they attempted multiple times to try to erase losses off a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 3-division world champion, former unified lightweight world champion, Ukrainian superstar boxer Vasyl High-Tech Lomachenko's record. Lomachenko is 16 wins, 2 losses, no draws, 11 wins by way of knockout. Period. 2 losses. But ESPN on multiple occasions has put up the lightweight division and put up Lomachenko in his stats and have him undefeated. He lost to Orlando Salido and he lost to Teofimo Lopez. Period. But they try to rewrite history all the time. So they put up a post in which on this pound for pound undisputed list, they have 10 undisputed champions, trying to throw in George Kambosos Jr. and Teofimo Lopez. They're not recognized by anybody as undisputed champions. But yet, ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, the biggest sporting platform in the world, tries to rewrite history, right? Because they have the platform, the network, to try and attempt this and tell you that there's 10 undisputed champions. There's not. There's 8 now. And before they put up that post, it was only 7. You have Bernard Hopkins at number 1. You have Jermaine Taylor, who beat Bernard Hopkins, at number 2. You have Terrence Crawford at 3 at junior welterweight. Alexander Usyk at 4 at cruiserweight. Okay, Josh Taylor at 5 at junior welterweight. Canelo Alvarez at 6 at super middleweight. And Jamel Charlo recently became 7 at junior middleweight. And now Devin Haney became number 8 last night. Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos Jr. are not on that list. Period. Okay? And so with that said, right, this just goes to show you how the sport of boxing can try to alter history, right, and rewrite it. And so with that said, George Kambosos Jr. is doing himself and his brand a disservice. And it's embarrassing. It's sad. Because everybody witnessed this. Everybody watched you get simply outclassed and dominated. The entire world. You barely won a round. And the only reason the scorecards read that you won a couple of rounds is because, well, it's home cooking. They didn't want it to be viewed as outclassed because guess what? There's an immediate rematch clause to take place in Australia. And if all the judges agree that this was a whitewash and that George Kambosos lost every single round, well then there's no case to be made, there's no argument to be made to have a rematch. Like undefeated, newly crowned unified 3-belt welterweight world champion superstar boxer Errol the Truth Spence Jr. stated. After watching that, there's no need for a rematch. What is there need for a rematch for? Do anybody see anything? Like Bob Arum said, he had to fight 118, 110. It was a shutout. I saw people giving George Kambosos the second round. Cool. Let's say he won 1 round. So he lost 11 rounds to 1. Period. George Kambosos Jr. did not win. By no stretch of the imagination did George Kambosos Jr. win 4 rounds in this fight. No, he just didn't. He simply did not. And so it's embarrassing for him to say he outclassed and outboxed and outlanded, outpointed Devin Haney. It's embarrassing to his brand and his career. He's already done his brand a disservice by the buildup and the things he was saying in the buildup. And now he's just making it worse by, you initially stated that the better man won and this was motivation for you to go back to the drawing board and so that way you could get some get back. And now you're going to say that you won the fight? It's embarrassing. And it's going to hurt his brand, period. So let's see how everything unfolds moving forward and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.